Hey guys, welcome to Tell Me About It. This channel will be dedicated to the incredible and the unexplained. I will be uploading videos weekly. Today's story might just give you goosebumps. If you have any requests, suggestions, or first-hand personal experiences and would like them to be told on this channel and heard by others, then feel free to send me an email at tellmeabouittv@gmail.com. That's spelled tellmeaboutit@gmail.com. If you're as intrigued by the incredible and the unexplained as I am, then make sure to pummel that like button, pinch and poke that subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. If you are as intrigued by the incredible and the unexplained as I am, then make sure to bite that like button, chew that subscribe, and swallow that bell so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. So today's story takes place in the 90s with a couple that we will call Tara and John. Now, Tara is about 5'10" and probably 250 pounds, and she definitely knows how to handle herself. While John is about 6'1" and 200 pounds, and he's very mild-mannered, quiet, reserved, and he doesn't have any concrete feelings about anything. He just kind of goes with the flow. He likes to observe people more than interact with them. Now, Tara is the exact opposite. She loves people, she loves interacting with them, and any problem that she has no problem voicing her issues or speak her opinion. Now, Tara and John met each other in a bar a couple years prior. And for the duration of their relationship, John comes and goes as he pleases, and Tara liked it that way. It wasn't until the last 6 months or so that Tara started to see problems with John that she hadn't seen before. It was like when she decided that she was going to stay with John long term, she started to see the inconsistencies revolving John. Because up until this point, they mainly just partied together. Even though they had been together for a few years now, John was always the one that came to Tara's place. It was never the other way around. In fact, Tara had never even seen John's place. And she was actually coming to the realization that she didn't even know John's last name. Now, when she started to think about it, the odd part was that she could have sworn that she heard John say his last name, but that it was different names each time that he told it to somebody. So the more that Tara thinks about how odd it is that she's never seen John's house or doesn't even know his last name, she decides that the next time he pops up, she is going to start asking him common questions just to try to get to know him a little better. Now, she decides that she doesn't want to wait for John to show up because she doesn't ever know exactly when that's going to happen. So she decided that she was going to call John on the phone. So, like everybody in the 90s, she goes and gets her address and phone number book, starts looking through the J's, and realizes that his name nor his number is in this book. Then she pulls out the phone book. She starts thumbing through the J's, realizing that the way that this phone book is organized, it goes by last name, not first name. Starting to get frustrated, she goes to close the book when she hears a knock on her door. So she throws the book by the couch, gets up. Before she got a chance to open the door, it opened, and on the other side was John. And this time, John had a big smile on his face. Now, the odd part about John is 95% of the time, he is emotionless. He doesn't have a smile, he doesn't have a frown, he doesn't have any kind of expression on his face. He looks emotionless. But every once in a while, when he would be gone for long periods of time, he would come back just with a smile that couldn't quit. No matter what you did, you could not wipe that smile off of his face. And John was the type of person that he would come over to Tara's house, he would stay for a day, sometimes 2 days, sometimes multiple days. But then he would have some emergency situation where he would have to leave in the middle of dinner, he would have to leave in the middle of a shower, in the middle of sleeping, just at random times. When he would be gone for long periods of time, he would come back almost like a changed man. He would be kind of aggressive, but in a seductive way towards Tara. He would be very manly with her. He would pick her up and kind of toss her around like a rag doll. He would just seem very feisty. And even though John would disappear for hours, sometimes days, he would reappear just as fast. It started to seem like John had some kind of radar that every time Tara got done doing something, John would just appear. Every time that she just got home from the store or just got out of the shower, it always seemed like John would be there at these perfect, exact moments. But at this time in Tara's life, that's what she loved. That's one of the reasons why she loved John, because he was forever keeping her guessing. So up until recently, Tara didn't have a problem with John. She didn't care that he would leave. She didn't care that he would be gone for days or hours. You know, none of that bothered her. It wasn't until recently that she started to have just a weird vibe about it. So she would bring it up to her friends. And at first her friends would start joking with her that he must have a secret wife at home. He must have a secret family that you don't know about. And John must be married. Tara and her friends would go back and forth. At first it started off as joking, but then it started almost making sense. So Tara concocted this plan that she was going to observe John for a while. And so she did. But John didn't notice a thing. He just went on with life as usual. John would always appear right when Tara needed him most. It was like he had some magic sixth sense. So when something would break, he would show up right at the perfect moment and he would fix it. When she was stressed about dinner, he would show up with some spaghetti and help her cook it. Just things like that. He was always there when she needed him. Like he could be whatever man she needed him to be. Kind of like a chameleon. Even when Tara would get mad at John for whatever reason, or she was mad about her home life, if it got to the point to where Tara was yelling at John, he wouldn't react. He wouldn't have an angry expression. He wouldn't yell. He wouldn't do anything. Even if it got to the point where Tara was throwing things, it's like it had no effect on John. So on this day, when John walked in on Tara thumbing through the phone book, he walked in just like one of those peculiar days where he was very vivacious, very feisty. He didn't even notice the phone book. He didn't notice what Tara was doing or anything. He just came in and whisked her away to the bedroom. The next morning, though, Tara laid in bed thinking about just how aggressive John gets. And it's like he's a completely different person. And it seemed as though every time she looked at John's face, he wasn't looking at her, but he was looking through her. She went to roll over to wake John up. She realized that he was already gone. So she canceled all her plans and she decided to wait for him to come back. When he did come back, it had been about a full 8 hours later, and he had said something along the lines of he had a work emergency. But when he walked in this time, Tara had made him a very lavish dinner. It was candlelit, it was romantic and low lighting, the whole shebang. Almost like he was caught off guard. John was acting very nervous, and for the first time she had seen a worried expression on his face. So they both sit down. Tara makes both of their plates and she gets to talking. She starts rambling on for a while, and when she feels like she has broken the ice, she starts asking questions like, why don't I know what your phone number is? Do you even have a phone? And to this, John acted like he didn't hear anything at all. It looked as though he was lost in thought, like he had no idea that he was even here with Tara, like he was somewhere else. So when he didn't answer the phone number question, she asked it again. And again, he acted like he didn't hear anything at all. So then Tara starts freaking out internally, and she starts thinking to herself, he must have 5 kids at home with a wife that just, they don't get along, and that's why he comes over here, to get away from all the madness. Now, with anger rising up, she looks at John and she says, do you have an apartment or do you have a house? And then she asks, where is your place at, John? What is your last name even? After she asked that last question, the vibe of the entire room shifted. Instead of the blank stare that he so often had, he stopped eating and he stared at Tara, point blank. Even before she looked up, she knew that he was staring at her because she could feel it. She could feel his gaze piercing through her. And she started to feel nauseous. Now, Tara had been waiting for months to start asking questions to John. And finally, this night, she had the courage to ask them. But she was not prepared for John's response. Finally, she blurts out, are you married, John? Do you have some secret wife and a secret family that you're not telling me about? It was quiet for a minute until suddenly John burst into hysterical laughter. He was laughing like a madman. He was laughing so hard he was holding his gut and food was falling out of his mouth. All the while, Tara is just sitting there staring at him, and the more he laughs, the more uneasy she starts to feel. And at this point, John is cackling like a wild animal. And he's laughing so hard, he's just laughing like he was on nitrous oxide laughing gas. Then, as suddenly as he starts laughing, he stopped. And he looked her square in the eyes. And he said, that's cute. And then continued eating, finished his plate, got up, and walked to the shower. So this night, Tara decided that she was going to stay up. Most of the time, she was the one who fell asleep first. So this night, she tells John that she's not feeling well, her stomach hurts. She goes to lay down in her bed. About 20 minutes later, John does all his nighttime routine. He comes and lays down. He lays there for probably 2 to 4 hours. Tara notices that she could feel John's weight shifting to the other side of the bed. It was like he rolled to the side of the bed. So she lays there listening, waiting for him to get up, but she never hears anything. About 30-40 minutes goes by, and she rolls over to see if John's still there, but he's not. So somehow John rolled off of the side of the bed, got up out of bed, walked out of Tara's bedroom, and walked through her house to the front door without making any noise at all. But the thing about Tara's place is that almost every room has floorboards that creak when you step on them. Not to mention, Tara's door squeaks as you open it, same with the front door. But somehow she didn't hear any of it. So now, agitated, Tara decides that she's not going back to sleep. She's going to wait for John. But this time, instead of being gone for hours or even days, it was weeks. She started realizing that John may have just left her. All those questions might have just spooked him, and now he's left her and he's went back to his wife and his kids and his secret life. So she went back to the bar that they had met. And she starts asking the bartender, the people that frequent the bar the most, and nobody's seen him. But not only has nobody seen him, they act like they've never even heard of him. Tara felt like she was looking for her imaginary boyfriend or looking for a ghost. So a couple weeks after this had gone by, Tara was at the bar again, lonely, wishing that she had never questioned John in the first place. when she looks over and she sees a newspaper. She looked at it for a second and then looked back at her beer, but then she noticed that something looked familiar on that newspaper. So she looked back again and she seen John's face. But above John's face was a headline that said, "Stalker rapist turned murderer has been caught red-handed." As soon as she finished reading that headline, she got this sinking feeling in her stomach, and things that didn't make sense before started clicking together. It was like every missing puzzle piece that she had between her and John were suddenly found. And everything that didn't make sense before now made perfect sense. Every time he left suddenly, he wasn't going home to his loving wife. He was going out stalking women or killing them or other horrible things while she waited on him. And then when he came back feisty and all ramped up, it was because he was exhilarated from the sick things he did to these women. She felt completely sickened by the thought of what he was doing to these women while she slept, and yearned for him. So, do you think that there was red flags that Tara missed in the beginning, or the middle, or the end? What would you have done in this situation? Would you have confronted John after he went to prison? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Remember to subscribe, ring that bell, hit that like button, and share this video if you would like to see more content like this. Thanks for watching.